Greetings, dear Libra. This one is for you. Hi, welcome. This is Tarot Lumination. That's you, Libras. And this is your June 2019 mini generic love and relationship report. You've probably been here before, hopefully. If not, watch for your sun, moon, and rising. I'm just going to go through the drill. You know, the routine. We're going to use the Tarot Lumination crucible spread. It's on the understanding that there's you, a significant other, and a third entity that you guys own called the relationship. We're using the crucible spread because it addresses the full spectrum of the relationship as opposed to two individuals facing off with each other. So I'm not going to do any reversals, flyers, or jumpers or anything like that, but we are going to have an oracle at the end, okay, just to sweeten things up a little bit for you, give it a bit of a broader perspective. Cards were already well shuffled in advance. I just like to go to the last second so that you're a witness, okay? I have to say all this stuff to get some clarity in case of new arrivals. Before I actually get to the cards, I just want to give you an overview of the month. This is a Tarot Lumination Astrodoodle in its full glory. I know. Don't be scared. It looks like gibberish. I know. But it makes sense to Tarot Lumination, and I use these in personal readings and for personal references through the month. I'll just give you the credits for the month. Okay, this is like timestamps. New moon over here. I'll just do it slowly. Again, this is just information. I'm not interpreting any of this. Full moon on the 17th. Sun goes into Cancer on the 21st. Okay? And we've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto retrograde. Actually, towards the end of the month, I believe we even have so we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto retrograde, but towards the end of the month, we even have Neptune. I'm saying that right here. Also, I want to point out some stressors. I'm trying to illustrate them here. Okay. These are certain days on the month, and because it's you, Libra, and you're one of the cardinal signs, okay, you're getting direct hits, okay, from some of these stressors, okay. We've got the Cancer-Capricorn axis very active all month long. Here, 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 okay? It does not let up. And this is a buildup because it's going to get even more intense in July, okay? Especially when we go through the eclipses, the Cancer-Capricorn eclipses. So you might want to mark your calendar. This information here doesn't really relate to some of this stuff here or on the way a lot of people would present an astrology note for readings. But this is stressful for you, okay, the 6th. I'm not going to explain why, I'm just going to mention these are hotspot trigger point days because this is very stressful for you. This is very stressful for you. This is harmonious for everybody. This is stressful for you, and this is stressful for you. Check the dates, okay? These are just trigger points, mostly triggered by the moon and the nodal axis, okay? This is what it looks like, okay? So this is you, Libra, on the horizon. And the area of true love and romance is over here. It's not heavily aspected. And over here is the area of relationship. And it is aspected briefly as the moon goes through Aries. That represents to one of those trigger points that I mentioned here. Okay? That's when it's towards the end of the month. The other trigger point is very early in the month, around the 12th and the 13th. So this red stuff applies very strongly to you, Libra. It is all stressful, okay? All right. Even though June is actually a favorable month in so many ways because it's so harmonious with the Gemini stuff. Over here, this is the Gemini new moon, okay? Up in your 9th house, and here's the full moon over here in your 3rd house. So that's kind of sweet for you. You might enjoy that, the 3rd and the 17th, as certain relationship dynamics come into the surface. Otherwise, I would be watching out specifically for those trigger days, all right? Thanks, Libra. I hope it helps. And that's for everything in your life, not just, love and relationship. But it will be directly relevant to love and relationship simply because it's on the trigger points, especially around the 26th and the 17th, okay? So there you go. I hope that helps you, okay? All right, let's do this. Please invite your invisible friends. You know what I mean. I do that from here too to help with everything because I feel like I'm an instrument of an instrument. And we're just trying to get as rich and full and useful a reading for you as possible. And that's how we do it. Okay? Thank you all for being here. Here we go. So this represents you, Libra, at the surface in your conscious day-to-day waking life. What are you radiating over here? Think of yourself like a smartphone. And then in which case, what are you attracting? Okay, think of the laws of attraction. Singles, if you want to, you can watch this too and apply the laws of attraction. And then this energy would equate to what if? Like, what are the prospects if someone is around there? What would they be like? Over here, significant other. Over here, deep down inside of you, deep down inside of the other, and at the core, the relationship itself. Over here, what is it that is being fostered? What is it that is growing out of this? Think of this like as a potted plant, okay? This is the bowl. This is the crucible structure in which the relationship is conducted. And this is what is fermenting here as we intimate and separate, okay? So there, the preamble is done. Let's get to it. I'm going to look at the weather around you. You have the Fool. So this Fool card has been cropping up a lot recently, not just in these reports. And I think it's because a lot of us are being caught off guard. I think a lot of it is to do with the planetary alignments. The big heavy retrogrades, and they're going to get heavier towards the end of the month. That sort of feels like being dragged by deep rip currents into new areas of life that have been very, very deeply buried, probably for a long time, that are coming up, like being churned up for examination, okay? And not being sure what to do with it. Okay, so Libra, these particular aspects that I brought out and mentioned to you, it might be putting you in a position where you're going to have to like stand by and observe your life like a movie and live through it without having any kind of preconceptions or expectations of what's going to happen through this time period, okay? So no, it's no harm done here. I'm seeing this as very gentle, very, very neutral energy, and with a deliberate, like big question mark of the unknown. In other words, we're not going to predict your future here, okay? We don't do that at Tarot Lumination anyway. We just read energy, and we hope that we can enhance your life. What are you radiating here yourself? The Strength card. Okay, so my feeling is that it's almost like you're looking at a bizarre weather forecast. Pretend this is like the Weather Channel, and they just came up with this. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've never lived through anything like that before. What on earth am I supposed to do? This is very strange. This is bizarre. I don't know. What does it all mean? And so my feeling is that you're already sensing it in your physical body at a very profound, deep, like gut level. And again, it's almost like energy of what happens before big storms. You feel it deep in the ground like animals do, okay? And you feel that like bubbling around inside of you, testing your animal self, your egoic self, your conscious self, the person that you're aware of, that you think of you as being you. And what you also is happening is that you're aware that at a very deep, profound soul level, like you are being stretched and pulled and stretched and pulled to increase your vibrational energy in order to expand and grow and evolve and adapt and blossom, okay? And that's happening courtesy of the planets, call it the astrological weather or the environmental influences and how it manifests in your life and your world around you, especially a significant relationship. So it's like you are being called. To me, it feels like you are being called to face into this weather like people who have to prepare for big storms. I'm not saying there are big storms from this, but with the charts that I'm showing you, I'm anticipating a lot of pressure, okay? And having to live through that over the next month or so. And what that's going to do is it's going to be like how they make diamonds, synthetic diamonds. They take raw carbon and they crush it and under intense high pressure. And then eventually it turns into diamond. They get little particles of diamond, okay? So I think that's what's happening here. You're becoming more and more spiritualized, more and more activated, more and more evolved as your energy increases in vibration, okay? So that could put it, that's beautiful in its own way, but it can be also quite stressful, and it could put stress on relationships, okay? From you to others and from others to you. in ways that you might not have experienced before. What are they radiating here? Okay, the Hanged Man. So we've already got 3 major arcana here right off out of the box before we've even started. So again, my feeling is that we're looking at this particular thing here as an unusual weather event that is going to put you through your paces, starting really early in the month over here. As you cycle through the month, okay, you can see these dates, okay? So here's, like, for example, here's a trigger day. Here's a trigger days. Here's some trigger days. Here's some trigger days. Please watch out for that as you live through this month and see how you feel. See how you feel in your physical body, and then see how that translates into your spirit, your capacity to be truly, truly loving, truly true to yourself in ways that you've probably never done before. Now, at the same time, I think something very reciprocal is happening over here with a significant other, because they're living, this person, whoever this is living through exactly the same weather patterns as you, but we don't know if it's this way or this way or this way or how it impacts them. But either way, this sacred geometry lies on top of this person in exactly the way that suits them. And so my feeling is that their version, their interpretation of this time period is in some ways very disturbing, very disorienting, almost like an out-of-body experience where they could not possibly have anticipated or predicted this, and the only way they can handle it is by basically the most loving thing to do is almost kind of go into a disembodied, out-of-body sense of detachment and allow themselves to live through this whole thing like they're watching a movie of themselves playing out against you. Like 2 characters living through a movie setting, like a story on a movie. And for them, it could be, you've got your challenge here, and that's what you're radiating. You're doing, in other words, you're doing a really good job, but it's actually very hard to do. I think they're doing their best to do a really good job, but it might be tougher for them because in order for them to be loving and to be loved and just say, be their most honorable self in a relationship where they have to intimate and separate and intimate, just like everybody does who's in a relationship on a day-to-day basis, it could be really, really stretching the existing parameters of the relationship to the point where they're like, what the bleep is going on here? And maybe even expressing that, but it might be not verbally expressed, but more through their behavior, like their actions, because it doesn't look like there's any desire to disturb or upset the equilibrium and the love, the stability of being loving and being loved, the natural flows of intimacy and separation. But instead, living through this experience is, to me, it looks disorienting for them. And in some ways, they're struggling with that. Deep down inside of you, okay, goodness, whew, what is going on here? Okay, with the High Priestess, my feeling is that this is, at the deep soul level, you, without perhaps not even knowing it at the fully conscious level, you may have made a very profound soul decision to commit to this process, no matter how challenging it is, on the understanding that there's a lot that you do not know about what's going on or where it's going to go or how it is going to unfold. It's to me, this looks, like it's really, really like almost like an extreme weather event. I mean, this and this is so extreme right now, and it's going to amplify even more in July. And I think that's what's putting a lot of pressure on you. And then you add in all the other stuff that we're talking about, and it just amplifies it even more. And so part of you at the deep, deep soul level is adopting the posture of the High Priestess. You are literally conducting yourself at the soul level at very, very high vibrational frequencies, at the energy of the, like, being connected with the beyond, with divinity and the great beyond, and being operational here on earth at the same time, where you are basically having, deep down in your soul, you're having to trust the process that whatever you need to know will come to you, and whatever you don't need to know will not come to you. And that's very frustrating at times, especially in a three-dimensional aspect of life. There's a lot of times that's the only way people connect and relate. Not everybody is comfortable at, dealing or living in a relationship that has extremely high levels of spirituality or very high frequencies of love, where the traditional understandings in a loving relationship kind of don't compute. I think you're doing a really good job of handling it, but it's really taking you to the limits where you're having to be like a wizard, kind of a wizard type version of this, but very, very discreet. In other words, it's like you don't interfere with the process. The high priestess would have a very profoundly serene, loving nature that would not interfere or try to manipulate or exploit this situation for themselves, for personal gain over the other, or for whatever it is. It's just that living through this, I think, is putting a lot of pressure at the deep soul level for you, Libra, and that's having a reciprocal effect on the other party over here. Let's have a look what's going on deep inside. Okay, with the Nine of Wands. Okay, let's face it, they're under a lot of pressure. My feeling is that, you know how people get into relationships where the really deep subcurrents of the relationship are going on, but a lot of people don't talk about them because you hardly even have words for them. They're going on anyway, and you can sense it through like just the vibes going between you and the other, but you don't have the language for it. They don't have the language for it. You don't have enough three-dimensional life experience to even converse around the stressors that are happening for the relationship, because you guys have never been here before. You've never been in this situation before. They've never been in this situation before. The relationship has never been taken to this level before. It looks like the relationship is under a lot of pressure in some way, shape, or form or another, okay? And you're dealing with it extremely well, Libra, by giving yourself over completely to the divine, okay? And accepting very, very gracefully, however that translates into simple worldly three-dimensional reality. And that can be very disorienting for the other, okay? And it's like, let's say they are doing their part, okay, to honor you, the relationship themselves. And deep inside, there's this other part of them, which is like, I knew this was coming. I asked for this. I didn't know what it meant when I was asking for it, but now I've got it. It's incredibly demanding. It's putting me really, really to the limits of my ability to endure. I know I can handle it, and I will. I just wish I had known more about life in the world and love and relationships so that I could handle it a bit better. Okay, so if you, Libra, are being really, really, really stretched and pulled, and you're doing this as best you can, and it's taking you like way, way out of your comfort zone, and your only option from a loving perspective is to basically surrender to the flow, accept the stressors, that's a very graceful, loving thing to do, but it looks like it's happening under a lot of pressure. They're going through their own same thing over here. In some ways, my feeling here is that this is taking us back down to worldly expressions about how this happens, as opposed to the very spiritual aspects that I've been talking about here. And it's like they knew. They somehow sensed that this was coming, that this intense stressor and pressure was inevitable, and now it is here. Okay, it's almost like, I told you, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Okay, It doesn't mean they have solutions or answers, because they're in this vortex with you, okay? Let's have a look at the relationship, okay? The Ten of Swords. So to me, it looks like it takes the whole relationship to some kind of breaking point where my feeling is that neither party would ever expect it or have expected it, especially if you have a history of loving and being loved. And yet, with the way the weather is right now, what I would say is, like in terms of the astrology, it's extremely precise. You know, this is derived from the same information that they use at NASA for plotting, you know, space flight, the movement of the planets, because they have gravitational effects and forces on the space, you know, craft. So they have to know this stuff. And the way we do it in astrology, we just take the same information, but we reinterpret it for the impact that this has on human beings, okay? So my feeling is that just like the rest of the world, none of us have ever been at this point before. But because you, Libra, are one of the cardinals, and as cardinal signs, you're getting an extra dose of pressure. And it's really, really forcing you to come at things from a very spiritual perspective instead of taking it personally. Like if this becomes very stressful for you, and especially around the 26th, for example, where you get to experience all the wonders of your love and relationship, but you're also getting exposed to the very deep, deep, profound things that are not viable. And it becomes, you get to the point where the relationship itself is showing signs that it's reaching breaking point. In fact, in some ways, it has already reached a breaking point from which I don't know if there's any recovery or not, but it's literally like some kind of, again, I don't know if this would even be expressed between you guys. The relationship itself is showing this energy of, you know, not able to withstand this, okay? In other words, you know, when I talk about the crucible spread here, okay, and how it is designed to withstand the intense alchemical pressures that go on in a love relationship, or just a relationship, sometimes what happens is the crucible cracks, okay? Just like in a laboratory. If the crucible wasn't built properly, if it's not strong enough, it's not big enough, if you're not vested enough in it, or you don't have enough understanding about how the relationship or how relationships work, then if you guys have not vested in this or understood this before, then we're looking at a situation where you could say that the relationship, as symbolized by a crucible, has cracked. It's literally reached a breaking point. And it isn't just a breaking point, it's actually cracked, okay? Doesn't mean it's going to just suddenly fall apart and explode, but it means there is a deep fissure in the relationship itself now, okay? So in other words, the relationship is being taken to the limit where it's actually cracked the ball. It's actually cracked. In other words, you being you, them being them, in the context of the relationship, it's being taken to the max, and it has like maybe like a deep hairline crack that goes through the whole thing. In other words, everything looks like it's okay, but there's a massive hairline crack that goes through the whole relationship. What about this? 5 of Coins. So it could lead to a sensation where there's impoverishment in the relationship, tangible, measurable impoverishment. Well, let's just say everything, let's just come back down to earth, calm down, calm down, calm down, come back down to earth, be really super optimistic and positive, okay? You get to realize with the 5 of Coins, the limitations of the relationship. And it might be very severe limitations. You realize the restrictions that you have on the other, and the other has on you, and the relationship has. In other words, okay, here's another analogy. This is what I'm thinking of here. Have you ever heard of that thing called root bound, when a plant gets root bound? I had that problem last year with all my garden. I had to move it on and sell it. I couldn't grow it anymore because the fire department told me to get rid of it because I only have room for potted plants. And what happened over the years, a lot of my plants grew and grew and grew and grew, but the pots would crack. The actual ceramic, terracotta pots would crack because the plant still wants to grow and wants to live, but it couldn't do it anymore in that situation and environment. And so the plant is almost like screaming out in pain. I need to grow. I need to expand. I need to move. I need to be repotted because I'm deeply impoverished right now. I can't go any further as I am. And so with the Five of Coins here, that's what I'm sensing, is that you start to see actual physical evidence of the fissure. In other words, just like a potted plant, you could look outside, everything, the plant is still beautiful and the pot is still there, but there's a massive hairline crack. And then, the plant keeps growing. That's the thing, because this is a living thing. You guys have a living thing. And what happens, the fissure in the crack opens further. And then you realize in terms of a timestamp, the impoverishment of the situation as it is. And there's no option except to either, repot the whole thing. Like, what are you guys going to do now once you realize this, once you have the full understanding of this? What constitutes new growth, new wealth, new abundance for you guys on the understanding that you've reached a breaking point? What do you guys do now? What are you going to do now, Libra? What are they going to do now? There's a big, big question going on here, okay? So this is an ongoing thing. I'm going to go back to this. What are you guys going to do now? Well, this is not a couples reading, okay? Sorry. This is just for you, Libra, but we're including the co-star, okay? So for you, Libra, you might be experiencing like the pressures of what happened. Like this, there's so much pressure from this that this is like what actually creates the crack. In other words, things grow, okay? Relationships grow, okay? It's like a living thing. That's the best way I can describe this right now. And with the Five of Coins here, it's like realizing and recognizing the limitations, the limiting factors of the relationship and how it can be very constricting and malnourished to continue the way it is. So what do you do now? So what I'm going to do is squash this up over here, and I'm going to pull an oracle for you. I hope this helps, okay? I've done everything I can with this particular spread, so I'm going to do this. I've done it with all the others, so I'm going to do it with you guys. I'm just going to pull a card and read from the book. I love this little deck. I know some of you think it's cheesy, but I happen to love it. It's the only deck of hers that I use. In fact, I pretty much looked at every one of her decks, but I never invested. I love this one, though. So let's see what happens. I'm going to shuffle it. Cards are already well shuffled in advance, and I'm going to call it out. You have to trust me. I'm an instrument of an instrument, and I'm going to call out one card, and that's going to be your card, okay? And then we'll read and give you some perspective, all right? Gosh, Libra, I hope this helps you. That's the purpose here of the channel, is to help you guys to grow and evolve, okay? Stop. It's almost like I had to force the shuffle to stop. Here we go. Make the effort, okay? See? It says, great love is worth taking the steps that you are guided to take. So let's just say you have a certain degree of love invested in this relationship, Libra. What are you guys going to do? What are you going to do? What are they going to do? This is your reading, so it's the messages to you. Make the effort, Libra. Is there something that can be salvaged? Is it worth salvaging? Are you going to have to repurpose the whole relationship, restructure from the ground up? Are you going to have to find a new home for you, new home for the other, a new home for the relationship, a new structure for the relationship so that you can grow, Libra, and let them grow? We don't know the definition of new growth from here onwards, but we have to acknowledge the limitations and restrictions and impoverishment of what exists here. Even though this could be a very vital, loving, living thing, this is a break point, and it has to be acknowledged, okay? So I'm going to look at this one. It says here, see, it's a sweet couple. There's plenty of love here. It says here, you receive this card because some action steps on your part, Libra, are necessary in order for your prayers about your love life to be answered. The angels have opened the doors for you, and now it's time for you to walk through them. The first thing that comes to mind with respect to taking action is a good starting place for you. Again, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? When you ask for spiritual help, you always receive it. Often this help comes in the form of intuitive guidance, which consists of repetitive feelings and thoughts. You get the sense that you should do this or that. You receive this card as a nudge to actually take action. In other words, you can't stay in a place of fakery or stupefaction or being stunned or numb or just living through the relationship like it is a, improv theater and you're just reading off lines or you're just repeating old habits over and over and over again. Okay? Sorry, I pointed to the other, but it's actually the message that I was trying to convey to you, simply because relationships are often very powerful mirrors, okay? I think there's a lot that you can learn from the significant other here. So, I'll read this again. You get the sense that you should do this or that. You receive this card as a nudge to actually take action. You'll then receive the next piece of the puzzle, meaning another intuitive message about what to do. So that's referring over here. What you need to know will come to you, but you have to ask for that. You have to invite your angels in. You have to invite support from heaven. You have to ask your invisible friends to help you, and they will help to present to you, reveal to you what you need to know so that you can make decisions about what to do, so that you don't leave the other in suspended animation, and you don't have to wander around lost and confused about what to do. We have to face the notion of a breaking point, and what do? Okay, it says here, you'll ask for messages, okay? Pray and then ask for messages, and you will be given messages. You will then receive the next piece of the puzzle, meaning another intuitive message about what to do. If you like, you can ask the angels to give you the motivation, the courage, time, and energy to take these steps. Know that each one brings you closer upon the pathway to great love. The question is, what does that look like now if there's such a fissure here? Where do you go from here? Okay, what is the definition of love from here? Okay, what are you going to discover about love and relationship as you go through this month? Because to me, it looks like by the end of the month, things are going to feel and look quite different. It might not look like that on the surface, but at the deep soul level, there's something really profoundly different happening here. And you have to acknowledge the stress points, okay? You know, if there's something here that you really, truly cherish, they truly cherish with you, it's a good question. Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to salvage this situation? If you guys think of you guys owning this as a property, okay? What are you going to do? All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you very much. I hope this helps you, Libra. I really do. I'm doing everything I can, okay, to help you in this. Bless you. Thank you for choosing Tarot Lumination. All the best. And you know the routine. Do the likes, the subscribes, the comments, and please even can become a member. And it's a super way to get a massive discount on personal readings, okay? So I hope this helps. Bye-bye.